Okay, here's another quick video lesson. This is for my good friend, Jericho. Jericho, you're already a fine bassist, and when we were taking lessons regularly here at the house, there really wasn't a whole lot I could show you, because you're already at that level. You just need to believe it yourself. But here are a couple of things that I can impart upon. Excuse me. I need to keep clearing my throat like that. It just sucks. But anyway, it's all the dust in here. But anyway, one of the main things, and you pretty much already do this, but one of the main things that I want you to always remember is the economy of motion. So keep the hand as close, as simply flowing as you can. But yeah, you don't want to move more than you feel necessary. Too much motion will limit your speed and your dexterity, and that's the thing that the primary thing that I would help you with a lot. One other thing, when we were taking lessons before, we were talking about Rutbusters, how to get your playing out of a rut, and one of the main things that I think I mentioned this in one of the lessons. One of the things that I do when I'm feeling in a rut like that is I listen to instruments that are not bassists. And I try to. Horn players are a good source of information for that. Listen to sax players, tenor sax players, and bari sax players. What they're playing will give you great information for. So I can't think of a good example or something to play to give you that, but that's just something you can do. Now, we talked before about the circle of fifths. I have another video for that I did for someone else that I can refer you to, and I will. Circle of fifths, circle of fourths. Those are good ways to just memorize the fingerboard and get where you need to be quicker. What you want to try to do as a player is try to get to where you don't really have to look at the fingerboard to figure out what you're doing, and that'll help with ruts a lot. The more automatic the playing can become, the better it's going to be. I recommend for, again, just think outside of the box thinking, and this will help with the songwriting and coming up with well, let's start with a good walking bass line for blues. The common thing that people do is root third fifth. So I'm going to do an F blues. You can't really see what my fingers are doing there, but that's a quick chorus of F blues king bass line. One great thing that you can do to bust the rut is not start on the root. So your F blues walking bass line will go. See how I did? Every time I came to F, I played open A instead. In the key of F, I'm sorry, A is actually your third. And the third is a perfectly good note to start with. You don't have to start with the root. So get to thinking in terms of not playing roots, and that will enhance your playing a lot. Find that making other note choices makes a huge difference. Now, that doesn't mean that you should eliminate roots altogether. After all, we're holding the framework of the chord together. So playing a root is going to be fine. But as an exercise in thinking outside of the box, try your best not to do that. Now, last thing I'll leave you with for this lesson is we tend to stick into major triads when we're playing things. Root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth. And we tend to, if we're playing in major songs, we always think it turns root, third, fifth, etc. so forth. If we're in a minor key, we tend to think root, third, fifth. all the time, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's traditional. It's a good idea. However, tritones are a wonderful thing to use. A tritone is where you have your root, and then you go up the note that's between the 4, which in this case, in the case of G, which is where I started, the 4 is going to be C, the 5 is going to be D. But in between those two, you have D flat. The between G and D flat is a tritone. And it sounds out of tune. It sounds out of tune, but it actually creates a lot of tension. So, one of the things I would challenge you to do in your exercise and also in your songwriting is find out where you can work a tritone in. So, as an example, again, use the key of G, since that's where I started, and I'm just going to use a simple walking bass line. And I'm going to throw a tritone in there just for fun. Sometimes I'll do it with double stop, which means playing both notes at the same time, and sometimes I'll just use the individual notes. You can use the tritone as a passing tone to get from one chord to another, or whatever. It's better if I just play it. So those are pretty extravagant examples, but that gives you the idea. And if you think of try to think of ways to work that in as you're experimenting, and you don't have to use blues. That's just the easiest way to explain it. Work those tritones in and find places where you can make them fit. Is a good way to bust and to come up with some creative things. So what happens is when you start trying to use those things and you're practicing, you find ways for them to filter out into your regular playing. So when you're not trying to wedge a tritone into a blues walking pattern, you still think of ways that it'll fit. And again, it just makes you a little bit that much more creative. It gives you more of a wider palette to paint with, for lack of a better way of describing. Okay, so that should get you going. I'll also send you a link to the Circle of Fifths video that I did for another student, and between those two, those should get you going. Alright, talk to you later.